You know, see you guys later. Hello all, and yes, after a week of fun traversing the country, I am back. Yes, traversing the country. That's basically what I've been doing for the last week, waiting for the power and water to return back to my house so I can actually be in my house, because power's not so bad. No water, that kind of sucks. But anyways, I am back, and let's see, it's been about a week, and we've had a lot of stuff happen. Well, in my opinion, we've had a lot of stuff happen in the past week, so I figured I would come on and just kind of give my opinions on them. Of course, there was a pay-per-view that I'm not going to talk about quite yet. I'll talk about the ramifications of the pay-per-view, but I'm not going to talk about that yet, and for that reason, we're going to start with TNA, because, well, my power went out on Saturday morning, and pretty much that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with TNA and No Surrender, and pay-per-view was not able to review. I will be reviewing it tomorrow, and once that comes up, you guys will be able to see it and my thoughts of it. But yeah, I'm going to talk more about the ramifications, because to me, I look at this pay-per-view, there's absolutely nothing on it that makes me go, wow, unlike last year where there was at least a couple of matches which I was at least looking forward to seeing. So far, there's nothing on this pay-per-view that I'm looking forward to see. As soon as, it was evident, as soon as it was pretty much announced that it was going to be Sting versus Joe at Bound for Glory, everyone screamed and hollered like they should. And everywhere around the internet, I saw pretty much that everyone thought it should have been Sting, or not Sting, but AJ and Samoa Joe for the title at Bound for Glory, their biggest pay-per-view of the year. There's people apparently in TNA that feel like Joe versus Sting will draw huge, major, buku buy rates. I don't see that. I don't see this being any higher than any other pay-per-view they've ever put on this year, and particularly since they haven't strong. They were going on a pretty good string of at least good pay-per-views. I wouldn't say great pay-per-views, but at least good pay-per-views. And then they kind of, yeah. I did see Impact. And that didn't help matters either. Even though it was a good Impact, but it didn't do anything to make me go, wow, this is something I want to see. This is something I want to continue to see. It did not work in any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion. And just from the, and I'm not trying to have a, just from the stuff that came out of the pay-per-view, it pretty lame duck in my opinion. Not, definitely not what you want to go into your biggest pay-per-view of the year. I hear far more complaining than I do, yay, let's watch this. Yay, there's going to be stuff on here I want to see. I don't see any of that. I don't hear any of that, and that's a big problem in my opinion. And I think TNA is, going down a big downward spiral, to be completely honest, particularly when you look at the fact that the one shining hope that was the Knockouts division, I said this on the Gil Kim video. I said if you take it from when Scott D'Amore left, about 6 months is probably what it's going to take for the Knockouts division to pretty much look like a Divas division, and I'm starting to see that more and more and more. It lacks that stuff that it had, and that, in my opinion, is not good. It's bad, and hopefully at some point someone will fix it before it gets broken, because that was what everyone was hoping for. That was what everyone thought would be good and great. Of course, we thought we were going to get Mick Foley versus Kurt Angle, and instead, apparently, we're going to get Jeff Jarrett versus Kurt Angle, which everyone thought we were going to have before. I think I'm sure Mick doesn't want to wrestle, and I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons for this. Though, I wouldn't be shocked or surprised or amazed, to be completely honest, if we came to that's what he wanted, and it just seemed very strange in the way they pulled all that off. For those of you that don't know the spoilers for next week, but I'm sorry I spoiled it for you, but I really don't care. Jarrett versus Angle just is not anything that makes me go yay. Like I said, nothing on this pay-per-view makes me go yay. You know, I continually look and I'm just seeing just the same crap out of TNA over and over and over again. And you know, it's different. It is different than the WWE. Most of the guys in WWE, you know, don't necessarily need the money. I understand people in TNA, particular guys behind the scene, they need their jobs, and so they're not, you know, as vocal or willing to stand up and say, this is not a good idea. But at some point, I wish someone would stand up and say, this is not a good idea, because we're continually seeing bad ideas upon bad ideas upon bad ideas upon bad ideas. We are. I mean, this is just getting ridiculously horrible how bad this is. And, you know, when you have really good matches which are getting hindered and become just kind of good matches because they were, you know, maybe they could have been great matches if they would have had a good storyline behind them, that hurts the product. That makes the product look bad. You know, TNA just is not growing. We know this. I mean, if you take a look, and people will say, oh, well, there was a lot to that, but if you look at their their last New York little tour that they did, it was not good. It was not good in any stretch of the imagination. They didn't draw nearly as good as they should have, without a doubt. And to add on to that, the shows were said to be bad as well. I mean, one of the things that TNA had going for it was people said, hey, the house shows were good. And now we're continually starting to see reports that the house shows were not good house shows. Somebody in TNA, you know, and we continually say this over and over again. I know nobody in this industry is going to listen to us, and it's too bad, because I would hope that somebody in TNA would wake up and say, you know what we're doing really isn't working. We're not gaining any new fans. We're just really stagnant. We're pretty much just where we, you know, the 2-hour deal was supposed to, you know, we're a year now after the 2-hour deal, and while they're getting slightly better ratings, they still haven't really topped anything that they did when they had the 1-hour deal. So, I mean, it's very just stagnant. It's not anything great or wonderful. They're not gaining any new fans. It's pretty horrible, to be completely honest, though I'm sure Spike looks at that and then looks at, you know, UFC's ratings, looks at the fact that UFC does such great buy rates, but, you know, and I will get into that another time, and then looks at their ratings and compares that and says, well, they're actually doing pretty good, which I think if that's what you're looking at, you're not looking at the full picture and you're not doing your job, because this is just, you know, you want TNA to grow to some extent. I mean, they're staying stagnant, which is good, I guess. They're not, you know, they're not losing fan base, a lot of fans, but, you know, it's not getting any better, and that's the problem, because I think we all want it to be better, because I think we all want something that will be different from the WWE, different from what the WWE gives us. And, you know, we were hoping TNA would do that, but TNA doesn't apparently want to do that. They want to give us something different, but I don't think the different is good. So I think that is a huge and massively bad problem. And, you know, watching Impact, just, it was like, this is really good, but it's not, this was, I shouldn't say really good, it was so much better than what they have been putting on, but in my opinion, this is what they should be putting on. That type of show should be like what we should expect from them, and because it really didn't, and like I said, I don't think it sold the pay-per-view very well, and this is the biggest pay-per-view of the year, so I think that's just not very good. Like I said, just coming out of the pay-per-view, it amazed me that, you know, and as I was going through the internet, because I had some very limited internet access, and reading people's comments and reading so many fans just say, you know, why did we get this and not AJ versus Joe? After everybody told me when I said they should do AJ versus Joe that I didn't know what I was talking about. Well, apparently the fans want to see that, and like I continually said, you know, if they can get the diehard fans to buy their product, if they can do that, they will get better buy rates than what they're getting now. So I don't, in wildest dreams, do not understand why they're not willing to do that, at least on the pay-per-views. they don't want to do that on television, that's fine, because they don't feel like it's going to sell on television, which I completely disagree with. But if they want to, but on the pay-per-view level, I definitely think you would definitely do better. I think you would at least do, consistently 75,000 buy rates instead of 25, 30,000 buy rates. So there you go there. And then we had WWE happen, which, I was willing to give WWE somewhat of a buy when it came to the CM Punk thing, because I said, okay, let's see where it goes. And then him and Chris Jericho had opened the show, which pretty much, in my opinion, showed where the WWE creative thought that match should be. And then pretty much, put on just a blah match in which, Punk looked like a goof in the match. Basically, by the end, he lost by some fluky fluke. And basically, it was like, well, there's Punk. Who cares? So be it. Now, maybe they'll do something, this week on Raw. I doubt it. I really feel like, they felt like Punk didn't work. Then they felt like they gave him a chance and it didn't work, which I'm kind of like, what were they watching? If that's the case, it really kind of annoys me. And then, and people are going to, I know a lot of people freaked out about the rating. I would wait till this week's rating because, you had not just a football game on, you had an amazing, incredible, just insanely good football game on. Still a horrible rating. I'm not gonna deny that. But I think that you have to, if you're gonna talk ratings, you got to wait till this week's rating. You also have to compare their ratings to what other people had. So that night as well. So all of that. So, but I'm not gonna get into that. So you had that happen. That kind of irked me. To a large degree, because I didn't really talk about this. I don't understand why they would give Jericho the title. He doesn't need the title. He's in a good feud that doesn't need a title. This isn't like Undertaker Edge, which I said that should have been for the title because that was the main feud. Because I think that the stuff that you're doing with Triple H really isn't main feud stuff and isn't worthy of being in the championship material stuff. And and doesn't need the title, where you could just be Triple H just taking on guys, and I'll get into Triple H in a second. Instead, what we have is this just stuff, with I think it would have added a little bit more to that feud and made it a little better. I don't think Jericho versus HBK needs that. It looks like that's where and they probably are going to do a lot of weird things, but I really think that Orton Punk, you could have had them go for the title in this weird kind of, Orton not really there, but there type of thing, versus Punk going for the title. I think you would have built up two guys. You would have built up Orton a little bit more. You would have built up Punk a lot more. You would have had 2 stars you could have built on, which is the problem WWE has. They have no new stars. They're not building new stars. They're not doing any of that stuff, which is a huge problem. Then when you get to SmackDown and all the stuff that's been going on there with Triple H, it's just like, my God. And for everybody that wants to come on here and defend Triple H, defend this. For those of you that have not heard this, and I'm sure almost everyone has heard this by now, but WWE released a memo to all of the gaming magazines and said, if you want WWE okayed screenshots and videos, you cannot put Triple H in any type of, I believe it was any type of submission move where he's getting beat up in any type of prone position, basically any position, any type of match where he would look bad and not look like the dominant guy in the match. What the fuck is that? I'm sorry, but when you have to go that far to protect the guy, somebody needs to be fired. Somebody somewhere needs to say, this is freaking ridiculous, this is stupid, this is moronic, what the hell? I mean, most people buy these games actually so they can beat up on a lot of the stars. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of the, SmackDown versus Raw games. So this was retarded. It just truly amazes me, the stuff that's been going on the last week. It truly made me go, you know what? Maybe PS Power is right. Maybe this industry is going to die, and it's going to die horribly, which I don't even think he's been willing to say. I think he's just willing to say it's not as good as it once was, which I don't think anyone would disagree with that. But, it was like, I really, really like pro wrestling. I love pro wrestling. It's something that gives me joy. And I am watching it pretty much die because a bunch of idiots are running it, and you don't have people in those companies willing to stand up and call these idiots out on it and say, what the hell is this bullshit that you're giving these people? And then you wonder why no one cares. Because, you know what? The fans have progressed. The fans are much smarter than they were. You can't work the fans the same way you did 15 years ago. And there's this mentality of, let's work the fans the same way we did 15 years ago, or let's work the fans so many times that by the time the fans don't want to be worked anymore. They just want to see a match, which is what goes on in TNA. And it truly just aggravates me to no degree that I'm just like, good Lord, what is going on? Why can't any of these people who are, this is supposed to be their living, you know, and I'm sure there's people in the WWE that see it and go, this is bullshit, but you know what? They need to stand up and say, this is bullshit. This is not what we need to be seeing. This is not what we need to be putting on television. This is not what we need to be doing. We need to start making new stars. We need to start having belief in these new stars. Because I got news for you. Having belief and only pushing, you know, and saying, oh, well, we're pushing Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy shouldn't be pushed. He's not reliable enough to be pushed. You've got at least 5 other guys in the WWE who could have his spot and do much better, and you can rely on them. CM Punk being one of them, by the way, but I won't get into that. You know, it's retarded that this is going on. You would think somebody would stand up and go, you know what? This is stupid. Something needs to happen. Somebody either stand up to Vince, which, you know, I think if people would just stand up to Vince and wouldn't worry about their jobs and wouldn't worry about Stephanie coming back behind them and cutting their heads off, you know what? I think I would hope that somebody in WWE would have the balls to do that. I don't think anybody in TNA can do that because I think all of those guys rely on their jobs far too much. I think you have enough guys in WWE who could, you know, lose their job and it would still be okay because either they could work for TNA or they have enough money squirreled away somewhere where they don't have to worry about it. But instead, we're stuck with this crap. And you know what? Ring of Honor, you get some of this too, because I am, you know, Gabe, Gary, get the freaking product on TV already. Please. Please do something. Please do something. You, in my opinion, you are it. You are the last hope we have, and you're dicking around. You know, I understand, oh, we don't want to grow too much. Oh, I understand all of that stuff. But if you're not showing the fans, us, the people that have been supporting, the people that have been giving you money, the fact that you're growing, I've said this before, progressing, becoming more and more, you know, more of a product that we can believe in, that we can support. We can go tell people, hey, this is the up and new thing. This is what you want to watch. This is what you want to do. It's not going to work. And you're totally ruining it because you guys are just like, let's go with turtle space. And I understand that. But at some point, you know what? It's not so bad to put your hand out just a little farther than maybe you should, get it slapped, and pull it back. There's no wrong with that. And just, you know, maybe sometimes you got to take a couple steps forward. Maybe from that you take a couple steps back, but you only take a couple steps back and then you progress along. You know, it annoys me because here we have a product that I think most people would like if they would actually get a chance to see it. And, you know, even though they can see it if they order the pay-per-views, but the pay-per-views are limited in what they can do. And I said this in another video, and people said, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you know, they can't do that, that they could. I firmly stand by this. It would be very easy for them at this point to put on one. I'm not saying you put on a bunch, I'm just saying you put on one live pay-per-view. You can then continue to do the taped pay-per-views, see how successful it was. If it wasn't very successful, hey, you don't do it again. You still have the taped pay-per-views. You plan out ahead for the fact of, hey, maybe we're going to lose money on this. So you be conservative about it. And you say, you know what, hey, maybe we are going to lose money on this, so we're going to plan that maybe we're going to lose money on this. And then if we do, we do. And it's not that big of a deal. And we're going to, you know, if maybe take out a long-term loan where the money from the taped pay-per-views, yes, help, you know, subside that loan. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a big business guy. I'm just saying that Gabe and Gary, you guys don't watch my videos. I don't care, but I know people do. Please, we need something. We need something bad. It's when it's hard to watch the stuff that you love, and you still love it, but it's hard to watch because the people running it are a bunch of idiots. We need something, please. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Anyways, I'm out. Later, and be good.